Here's Pac-Man World on Game Boy Advance. Let's check it out.
Pac-Man World on Game Boy Advance was released in 2004, yup, 5 years after the original Pac-Man World, and at a time when the DS was almost out. Well, thankfully, they took out the 20th anniversary part in the title, which, as much as I complained about it prior, it's also just really weird to see it gone. It's cursed. It feels empty. Something should be there. I usually like to give some context regarding development here, but like with a lot of GBA ports, there's really not a lot out there. I mean, it was developed by Full Fat Games, who had a history of making these types of demakes prior, even continuing to the DS era. They were also responsible for Pac-Man World 2 on GBA, and the menus are reused in that game. But yeah, I don't know, why does this version exist? I think because we failed as a society.
If I don't cover this, who's going to? You know, like, no one's gonna do a deep dive on this game, so if someone had to do it, it had to be me. I hate my life.
Alright, here's what they cut. No more cutscenes. You get your grainy stills. You know what? Fair enough, the GBA is about as powerful as a pencil sharpener. About half the levels are gone now, with the entire factory world just outright missing, and the bosses are gone entirely, except for Talkman. The music here is obviously a lot worse as well, but I don't know, the sky's blue. What do you want me to say? It's a given. There's also no more mazes, which that is weird, because you can still collect Galaxians, but they're treated like straight up fruit and just open a normal door. Well, I guess these ones are like red Galaxians. Maybe they just don't have any special zest to them. Like, I don't know, are red Galaxians known to be better in the Galaga games? It's a little disappointing. I think the GBA could have definitely handled some custom Pac-Man mazes, so that decision I'm not super happy about personally. And also, there's no original Pac-Man at all. Like, come on, you think that'd be a freebie for the game developers? It's a game as old as time. Even the GBA could handle that. In fact, Pac-Man's on the GBA. But if you look past all these things and just focus on what's here, I still think it's a decent product. I mean, look at this game. It's somewhat faithfully recreated. It's still 3D-esque. They didn't take any shortcuts here, and while it's obviously downgraded, it still looks really nice, and these levels are mostly the respective levels from the PlayStation game. Some mechanics are a little different though. They couldn't really do the rev roll thing from the Funhouse world, so you just get to rev roll 4 ramps in a row instead. Why they didn't just cut this from the game is beyond me. I don't know. It's boring and repetitive, kind of hurting the level design a bit here, not really following the developer's original intentions. Some rev roll ramps are now unfortunately a bit jank. Especially in the last world, I would find myself flying over if I wasn't careful, which isn't really fair if you don't know what's up ahead. So I often just butt bounced up hills to compensate. I think presentation-wise, this game is a little rough around the edges. When Pac-Man jumps, he doesn't even bend his knees. Look at this guy. I mean, maybe Pac-Man's toes are just that strong, because all you can see is a slight little bend in his foot. These menus are really poorly designed as well. I don't know if this was just me, but when I saw these 3 Pac pellets sitting on the menu for each world, I thought each one was correlated with a level. Well, no, not all worlds even have their levels, so it's just odd to me. I never got used to that in my entire playthrough. Like, why are those there? The keys are still here to rescue your friend. I didn't know if this was required at first, but in my playthrough, I really didn't want to risk it, so I made sure to get every last friend. I didn't want to have to be replaying this game, God forbid. While doing research later, I did find out that you actually don't have to rescue the friends. It's more or less for exploring, so actually that's a really positive change that the Game Boy Advance version takes. Alright, that's one for Pac-Man World on GBA. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to catch up here. The Pac-Man letters are also here, except this time they don't take you to a bonus level, which, like, I don't know, that's another thing that I feel was unnecessarily cut from the game. On the subject of collectibles, I don't even know where to put this, but we got to talk about something, so just sit down. On 1-2, I got all the letters and spelled out Pac-An. I couldn't find an M. I looked it up, I watched like 3 Let's Plays, and no one found it either. So I figured one of the 2 things was occurring here. The first is they forgot to code it in the game, which I thought was really unlikely. The second was what I thought occurred, being they hid it in a really cryptic place. Now tell me, who in the hell is gonna bounce in this tiny corner on a platform that's completely out of view? They had way too much faith in the player, especially considering this is the second level of the game. Like, I'm not trying to put anyone down, but no one's gonna solve that. We're not smart enough as human beings.
I genuinely wonder how many kids even found that M. Because the Let's Plays I watched, no one found it. So what were they going for here? Like, if this was a PlayStation trophy, it would be one of those that has like 0.02%. That is the most out of the way, most cryptic M I've ever seen. What does that M even stand for? Mean?
You want to know another thing I hate about this game? The ghosts don't have that satisfying chomp once you eat one. No pause, no altered music, and not even an animation on Pac-Man. You just go through them like they're a ghost. Well, you got me there. I hate little things that are missing like this because it makes me feel the developers didn't really understand the source material, you know what I mean? The biggest issue I have with this game is that it just feels kind of weird to play. I found myself kind of nauseous, something I can't really describe, but it just hurt my head to play this at a certain point. The depth perception problems are in full blast here. If you thought they were bad in the PS1 version, well, you were right, but they're worse here. These clouds in the final world are so disorienting. I died so many times on these things. I do it to give the developers credit to an extent. They did add these arrows to indicate exactly where platforms line up. That's of course a much needed addition, but sometimes I don't even trust them. Like this arrow in 2-2. Come on, that block looks like it's in the foreground. I'm not gonna trust that. Everything feels like a leap of faith in this game, and I don't have faith in the developers, so this game is like half the responsibility for my outstanding trust issues. And what's up with this lava over here? You can see the exact vertical lines when they cut it off. I don't expect perfection from Game Boy Advance graphics, but this is just lazy. And when you save your friends, they don't even have proper grammar. There's no commas. Pac-Man, you are the best.
Maybe that's on purpose. Maybe it's like, it's a dog. Dogs don't use commas. Dogs also can't talk.
I don't know, the more I play this game, the more flaws I find in it. It might have been better to only play a few levels. I feel like I'm nitpicking almost, but some of these flaws are a huge deal to me. I hate these platforms that go up and down. The window is a lot shorter than in the original. It's like 3 frames, and if it's curved, forget it. You're rolling down. It's over for you. The game uses the same life system as the original, which kind of sucks, because now there's no bonus worlds or slot machines to bolster your life count. So what you get is a system that's not super optimized for the game the way they originally designed it. And on top of that, it's artificially harder. The Talkman fight though is fine. It's super easy. Your friends give you health again, this time being a reward for finding them instead of a forced requirement, and it's the same 3 phases in the original. And I don't know, I'm kind of mixed on this game. You could do a lot worse. You know what, if you were a kid growing up in this era, a game like this was a godsend. Sometimes you would buy a game originally released for consoles, and it would be a totally different game. This is at its core Pac-Man World, just a sloppy rendition, but in this day and age, there's really no reason to ever touch